Hey gang, Mocha Boy here, welcome back, and as always thanks for tuning back in. So we are going to look at 3 different attacks today, just carrying on with this Valk-o-Matic series. I am in Champs 1, and figure I'm up here already, I may as well see if I can go for Titans to just get that shiny gold badge. Anyway, very easy to find these bases, and I've been refining some of the approaches that I've been taking to the Nemesis bases that have been working out pretty well for me, so I wanted to share some of those findings. Again, Nemesis base, but the thing I want you to pay attention to is the orientation of the Infernos. Notice they're northwest and southeast, and I decided to take a broadside angle to them as I have in some of the other attacks. But instead of coming in from the south, what I'm doing is I'm targeting specifically the single target Inferno, so making that the priority for the core team. And notice the AQ stuck outside, no big deal. I need her I need her occupied for as long as possible so that I can make sure that she stays out of range of those Infernos. And sure enough, coring team goes in and they path straight into the core. Just make sure you cut them off just on that northwest wall, and then deploy the bulk of your troops, and then they just run in there, do a little renovation on the core, and gut everything there. But then once they're done, they've done their job, and then the AQ along with their healers are free to go in and clean up the rest of the base. And this is how, this is the script that runs for every single one of these attacks. Go in, gut that core, and then take out as many of the other point defenses, if you think there are concentrations of them, to go and take those point defenses out. And you do have some pocket troops. Make sure that you use them at the right time to just distract those defenses and make the base split its defense, its defending DPS against you, so you can go in and clear the rest of the base. So a lot of fun. Max base, Nemesis base, another one bites the dust. But I am going to show you that this attack is portable to other types of bases. Alright, so for this next attack, now this was a war attack from a couple of wars ago, and there's a couple of things that I want to point out about the approach that I took with this. And again, it's primarily the same composition with a couple of tweaks to the composition based on, because you actually have the time to plan an attack, so you can take fewer wall breakers and take more wizards or take more Valks. In this case, I took 10 Valks instead of the normal 8, plus two cleanup minions for wherever I needed them. Now, the plan for this particular base was a little different than the approach that I normally take, but that was to, because these were essentially Town Hall 9 defenses, I knew that I could strip the outer layer, or at least one wall, of all of its defenses, and keep the AQ running that perimeter. Now, the reason that that is because of the configuration of the buildings. It's an unbroken chain of buildings around the perimeter of the base, along with defenses in the first layer that will stitch together that path, to keep her moving in that direction. Now, while all that's happening, if you would have noticed from earlier, the initial look at the initial look-see at this base showed there were no point defenses along that southeast wall. So she was clear to run that entire wall without any problems. Now, while that's all happening, this base had a natural funnel to concentrate all of those troops and drive them into the core with a single jump. So all the giants, all the Valks, couple of funneling wizards. They all make it into the core, and I've got 3 rages here, no freezes, because they're multi-target Infernos, and this attack relies on speed. It relies on speed and damage to get that bulldozing team into the core to gut all of those buildings. Now, one of the things that I did do that was kind of interesting here. Actually, I'm sorry, I didn't bring 3 freezes, three rages. I brought 2 rages and a freeze, and that freeze was down for. That freeze was intended for the Teslas, because if you have to think about, if you do the math there, the Inferno's, what's that, 70-80 DPS. Granted, it's amongst a lot of different targets, but those Teslas, you're talking about 400 DPS, and it's fast damage too. So that's what the freezes were for. And then, of course, on the backside, again, it's just all about targeting those air defense assets. But I mean, at this point, you're already at 80% of the base. Drop that jump to connect those 3 compartments, and she goes on to clean up the rest of the base. So. Again, same script as always. Gut the core, target those air defenses, keep the AQ as long as possible. Is to keep her away from the Infernos for as long as possible, and you walk away with the 3. Alright, so this last attack comes in just from today. This is just post-patch, so let's see, attack log here. Replay. Now, this wasn't a 3-star. I unfortunately ran out of time, but here's the base. And a couple of things to note about this base again. Air defense is on the exterior, and that's something that you can absolutely take advantage of. Now, one of the things that you almost never know when you're doing this, and I had a slight suspicion that this might happen. It's the type of suspicion that you develop after running this composition about 200 times. I dropped her on the left side of this base, but there was always the possibility that she might path over to the right side of the base. It ended up actually working out in my favor, because if she had gotten in range of these two Expos, that would have been enough to cancel, just about cancel the healing effect of the archers, and I would have run into a lot of trouble. So I had a plan to take out those Expos by dropping in a kill team a little bit earlier. But if she decided to path to the right, then same difference. I could have gotten the kill team on top of that single target Inferno really quickly. So this is all stuff that happens in the span of 30 seconds, and you really just kind of have to drop your queen and then watch her and then wait to see which way she passes and see what she does. If she does not continue to walk the perimeter of the base, then all that means is that you're just going to have to start your attack a little bit sooner to target those assets that will threaten her, because this entire attack is based around protecting the queen as well as the healers. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. She, instead of moving up to the northwest, instead starts moving up towards the northeast, but no big deal. Once she's committed, I know that I can start the other phases of the attack. So I'll drop my earthquakes in the core in just about a second. That'll open up the core, soften up all those defenses. So that's a level 4 quake. You're talking about 40% damage against that Inferno, those defenses, as well as the town hall. And then I can start the other side of the attack. Now notice I'm not meeting up directly with her. I'm just letting her, do her thing. Stay away from those infernos. Stay away from those infernos as long as possible. She has attracted that expo, which is rough. Those expos cancel out the healing effect at this level, and mind you, this is a max TH10 base on its way to TH11. And sure enough, get that coring team into the core. That single target Inferno is not going to be enough to keep up with all of those troops, and thankfully the BK stayed out back. Now, one of the things that's a little tough to see, that that would be a little tough to make out here, is that I did drop my poison a little bit early, and that was just to slow down any skeletons that popped in the core, which they did, and then that all ended up working out just fine. And then unfortunately at this point, everything kind of gets stuck off in the core. One cool thing that happened there, hang on. One cool thing that happened here are these two wizards keyed in on that air defense. So, that's why it's a great idea to keep a couple of troops in the pocket, just to, as you see the attack develop, that you can deploy them where you need them. And this is not a bad base. It is a traditional hog ring base that took all of the air defense assets and pushed them out to the exterior, which is a mistake if you're somebody running this composition looking for these bases. This particular base came up after 5 searches, so they're very common. They're very common, and you can run them with relative ease at this level. So again, it's not just ring bases. You're looking for any base that either puts 1 or 2 or even more of their air defense assets either in the exterior layer of the base, so layer 1, or at least 1 layer, 2 layers deep, that's accessible by a wall breaker, but still far enough away from the infernos that you can keep the AQ working for as long as possible. In a spread out base like this, has real trouble defending against these types of attacks, because there are very few overlapping defenses. It would be way tougher to run a composition like this against a compressed base that has a lot of DPS hotspots. You're talking about 400, 500 DPS in range of 2 expos, that kind of thing. This was not one of those bases, so that you can attack it because of the spread of all of the defenses. And unfortunately, run out of time here, but pretty happy to walk away with 15 trophies to take me a little closer to Titans. So good times. Okay, so just one more replay here that I wanted to share, and the reason that I wanted to share this particular one, let me just pause this so that we can talk a little bit about the base. This is actually a pretty decent base, and this is something that has stymied a lot of clan war attacks until we figured out how to take it out. It did involve a lot of earthquakes and special funneling tactics, but this particular base is built. It's sort of a modified hog ring. It doesn't have that just that traditional unbroken ring. But what it does is it has mini rings, these chains of defenses that lead your defense-led troops around the base, along with the inner defenses which are shielded by these trash buildings. So it actually does it does cause a few headaches for targeting if you're using primarily defense-led troops. But one of the ways that we have seen this base, and this has been done to us, is you lead off with an AQ walk, and then you bum rush the core with some other troops, and then the AQ goes on to clean it up. Now, obviously, in war, you've got 24 hours to plan an attack. Here, you've got 30 seconds, and you're going to see just how I came across this. Now, again, just note the distance here of the air defenses from the wall. Remember, the AQ's range is 5 tiles, and then the wall plus those 3 tiles, that puts those air defenses as well as any other structures within range of the AQ. And that's one of the reasons why this particular base is susceptible to this style of attack, because everything, or at least an entire corridor of an entire corridor of buildings, both the inner layer as well as the outer layer, are all within range of the AQ. And then once you get that expo pulled down, there's very little left to threaten the AQ with from being able to prevent her from clearing out that entire corridor. And then while that's all happening, I'm spamming troops over here in the bottom south, and notice how the Valks redirected there right into the core to go after the AQ. That was not planned. I mean, it was just a happy accident, but still, I'm not splitting hairs here. I did get those troops into the core. I did attack on the multi-inferno side, which was a little dicey, but you know what? It ended up working out in the end. I did pop the BK ability preemptively to start spawning all those barbarians to tie up the single target inferno. And that's one of the key things when you're in the core. Don't wait until your BK gets targeted to pop that ability, because you're going to run into trouble. So it's okay to pop that a little bit earlier, and then just get the barbarian as well as the barbarian king as well as the barbarians on top of that single target inferno as quickly as possible. But once that happens, again, here's the script. All of the core defenses are down. There's only one air defense that is not going to be any threat to the AQ, and then I used some of those pocket troops just as a temporary distraction. I wasn't sure exactly how far she was going to make it into this attack, but it turns out that she was able to clear the rest of this corridor and then fight her way through the rest of the base. I mean, had this been like max walls, I probably would have just came up shy by about 10 or 20 seconds. I think I had 5 seconds left on the clock when this attack concluded. But yeah, it's all my healers survived. The coring team, as well as the AD, the air defense kill teams, went in and did their jobs, even though I wasn't really targeting them. And one of the guys in clan was saying this is just a lot of organized chaos, and it's so true. At one point, I'm not even sure where I'm dropping, what I'm dropping my spells on, because there's just so much going on. At any given point in time, there could be 3 fire teams doing 3 separate things. That's why it's nice towards the end when she goes into cleanup mode. You have those pocket troops, and you can use them to your advantage to distract other point defenses, so that she can buy a little bit of time to go in and sneak up on them and take them out. So again, yet another base that we can add to the stack of bases that are falling to this composition. So thanks for tuning in.